Welcome back. Speck is here to greet you. This looks like a tinier crunchy. Hey, it was still just as thrilling to him, huh? So, welcome back to Why We Revolt. I'll tell you why we revolt. Can I take your vitals, please? This is a typical greeting from the nurse. What brings you in today? This is usually the first thing a doctor will say, though for someone with a chronic illness, it can rarely invite a one-sentence response. On both sides, the unspoken evaluation begins. Patient says, will the doctor listen? Well, the patient's thinking that. The doctor's thinking, will the patient ramble on or cut to the chase? The patient's still thinking, does, this doctor have the experience with my condition? The doctor's thinking, I'm already running late. Will this be complicated? Patient, can I expect empathy? Doc, am I getting a research opportunity or a hypochondriac? That first interview, it's like similar to a blind date. You hope the relationship will work out. Even with a referral, you know nothing. If only there could be an independent medical advocate, a medical matchmaker. Wouldn't that be cool? So the doctor and patient, they both bring to the table a huge serving of greed and need. A physician can have a huge ego that needs to be corrected, a need to just check off symptoms in order to label the patient. The patient brings greed of wanting to know everything about what might be going on in their body. They want the knowledge. Can I find out what I have? What are the side effects of treatment? Too often, both are disappointed. So, most issues aren't cut and dry. In order to get to the bottom of medical mysteries, trust is crucial. Over the course of my illness, which translates to 20-some years in the healthcare system, when multiple tests have come back inconclusive, I've wondered, do my doctors just create a medical wheel of fortune? Whoosh. You remember the show. Whatever the needle lands on, we'll take that diagnosis for a year, then see what happens, see what sticks. When I've been overwhelmed looking for guidance from within the medical system, all I've experienced has been so-called patient case manager who states, I'm too busy right now. We're short-staffed. I wish I could help you, but I can't. The previous line was delivered just a couple of years ago when I could barely handle working half-time. My mind was swarming with thoughts of, is this the end of my career? Yet again. At this point in the exploration for a diagnosis, my various specialists wouldn't pick up the phones or email each other. I had insurance forms from work the doctors need to fill out. At the time, I wish I had a guide to help me through the chaos, like the endocrinologist Victor Montori, author of Why We Revolt, A Patient Revolution for Careful and Kind Care, published October 2017. Dr. Montori wants to spark a revolution. He wants patients to demand and clinicians to actually turn towards each other, to foster meaningful conversations. In addition to writing the book, he created the Patient Revolution, a nonprofit organization which provides a website of tools to help the chronically ill to get started on a better relationship with their medical providers. My history of non-communicative healers is exactly what Dr. Montori describes in his book. Healthcare managers have proclaimed the patient the most underutilized resource in healthcare. Boy, that's depressing. I'm going to read that again. Healthcare managers have proclaimed the patient the most underutilized resource in healthcare. Quote, Citation in the comments. Holy crap. So when you give work to patients, those costs come off the insurance company's balance sheets. Holy cows, and goes into their pockets. It makes the healthcare system look more effective with less money. Assigning work to patients is wrong when one is relatively healthy, but totally unacceptable when chronic illness is involved. Dr. Montori advocates for all patients when he says he doesn't want a single one to have to cut back on what he considers basic needs, which are food, clothing, housing, education, and recreation. He wants his patients to have a complete life. Just because someone is chronically ill, he doesn't want them to be short-shifted. A quality of life helps keep you healthy, but when healthcare puts the onus back on the patient to do errands, fill out the questionnaires, wait in line at the pharmacy, it adds up to a part-time job, which can push patients over the edge into disability. Totally agree with him. There are more doctors that think along this way too, but this book is so well worth it. So now, March 13th, 2017, it's a cool rainy night in Portland, Oregon at Lucky Lab Brewery. My husband orders a beer. Montori's book cover posters on an easel. Promo cards sit on a table. Everything set for the visiting superstar. My husband and I are curious. What does a patient revolution look like? We've been through so much medical mishigas together. Can this book help? The room fills with patients, doctors, medical students. Exactly what Montori promotes is happening. Conversations about healthcare. The author in person is passionate, caring, with a great sense of humor. His voice brings forth the imagination of his great-grandfather, who is a stonemason for European cathedrals. When he speaks, the doctor embodies the incorruptibility of his father, who was punished, then imprisoned for his ethics. Montori's DNA sets him up with integrity to be one of the instigators of a rebellion against the industrial healthcare complex. Live, and I find out later on the page, Montori, who is a diabetes doctor, is like a preacher delivering a sermon. His voice is filled with poetics, repetition, and rhythm. His parishioners are eagerly awaiting their baptismal moment. You can see the optimism on the faces of the students. They pray their medical careers will be more satisfactory than the doctors currently in practice. An entire generation of doctors disenchanted with their profession. They are tired of sacrificing the human side of medicine to the complicated bureaucratic hurdles. End quote. As he begins to read from the book, a communion occurs. One of his mantras is, industrial healthcare misses the person to focus on how many livers, legs, and eyes the system can treat, and whether they're treating patients like this, rather than caring for this patient. We're excited, but still somewhat skeptical as we pick up our copy of the book before heading home. Okay, here we are in a different section of the review. It's titled, Take My Case. Was it my imagination, or were my knees really the size of cantaloupes? Like my 90-year-old grandma, I couldn't just pop out of the car anymore. Furthermore, I felt fatigued all the time. It was the fall of 1991 when I first felt ill enough to finally make a doctor's appointment. Unlike many patients, I lucked out with a doctor who diagnosed me with systemic lupus erythematosus, SLE, or lupus for short. He diagnosed me right away. SLE is an autoimmune disorder when the body attacks itself. The severest risks are renal failure and inflammation, which can damage the heart and lungs, along with the brain. Usually SLE patients wait in limbo with a myriad of symptoms until there's a crisis, then hopefully the patient can be labeled. Many have died before ever being diagnosed. Face value, it seems great. Things were in alignment with my quick diagnosis. Holy cows, it's like, ooh, I know what I got. Let's see what's going to happen. Soon, medicine was dispensed, but unfortunately, the kind doctor retired. His colleague, who I'll call Dr. C, took my case. I asked, don't I need to see a specialist, a rheumatologist? No, you're just overreacting to being diagnosed with lupus, he told me. Time worked against me. As an adult, I never had to navigate the healthcare industrial complex. My fiance and I went for a second opinion, but first took a moment to cash out some savings because, of course, the top rheumatologist in New York at the time, who I'll call Dr. R, was not in our insurance plan. Luckily, we had some money saved so we could get the consult. Dr. R confirmed our fears. I was very sick. She volunteered to consult with Dr. C, but Dr. C would never return her phone calls. Time sped up. I was getting worse and worse. Then, bam, everything came to a halt. Seconds passed so slowly when I was in the ICCU. Breath to breath. Will this be my life? A permanent trach? Chemo flowing through my veins? When will the hands on the clock move so I can get the heck out of here? Funny, when you're on life support, hey, at least back then, you got immediately approved for Social Security disability. One thing went my way. I wish I had someone like Dr. Montori around when I was first ill. Montori sees his patients. He knows them. When he wrote his book while launching his project, he's doing it as a witness to patients. I'd imagine when you visit him, he'd say, well, na, ma, me, ye. I'm going to put the original spelling. It's the Zulu greeting, which means, I see you. He advocates, be here now with your patient. Although he doesn't use the term Zen, but it certainly is a Zen moment, at least for the patient, when you are truly seen by your doctor. Don't look at your computer screen. That's what the patients want to tell the doctors. David Meltzer, an economist who is also a primary care physician at the University of Chicago, has spent the past 5 years studying this theory. Strengthening the relationship between patients and their doctors can decrease medical costs and improve patient health. Citation in the comments. When Dr. Montori says, move your eyes up, meet the patient's eyes, connect, I want to respond back, I love you and your revolution. Montori tells the story of a prosthodontist, Sri Koka, who does more than just repair his clients' teeth. Not only did their smiles look better, but their eyes too. They felt like people again. No healthcare refugees. After my near-death experience, a huge scar remained on my neck from the tracheotomy when the HMO refused to cover it because it was cosmetic. 3 medical professionals came to my rescue. My doctor friend contacted a plastic surgeon to ask him to charge the least possible. Then my primary physician made the effort to harass my insurance company until the company relented. Finally, they reimbursed me for the amount I paid. These medics were implementing the tenets of the revolution: conversation, cooperation, caring. In Why We Revolt, there are 3 main parts. Each consists of short essays and a patient case study. Part 1 consists of cruelty, Blur, Greed, Burden, and John. Part 1 focuses on the problems of the industrial healthcare system. Part 2 consists of elegance, solidarity, love, Amanda, and integrity. And it describes what care should look like. Part 3 consists of timelessness, careful, 92, conversations, and cathedrals. So Dr. Montori addresses real and idealized care that will lead us to change in the future. Throughout the book, he entertains the audience with analogies from boating to Goldilocks and the Three Bears and commercial travel, among others. It's a fabulous, quick read. Here we are in another section of the book review. My case number 2. Years later, new symptoms, first consult. Dr. Drug asks, "What is your biggest symptom?" "Fatigue," I respond. Then the doctor says, quote, "This is why employers dislike their multiple sclerosis employees. The MS patients claim fatigue, then go out on disability," end quote. Right? She said this right in front of me and my husband on our first visit. Should I interpret those words as this doctor's version of hello and how are you? I was stunned. This is at least an hour into our possible 3-hour consult. I went to say, "Did you ever think that we're actually telling the truth?" My husband and I were silent, contemplating. Do we walk out? Can the specialist tell us if I'll end up in a wheelchair? Feeling like fools, we remain seated while remaining silent. Later, Dr. Drugs hands us a marketing package about MS medications with an aside. Don't worry about the cost. It's very easy for this professional to say. To my knowledge, this doctor had never been on medical leave, struggling financially, uncertain of their future. There was no discussion about side effects. Then my husband and I asked about diet. Doctors won't talk about diet. We deduced it's unproven in their minds. Pop a pill, inject yourself with toxic drugs, but don't talk about diet. We found a website where you can see how much your doctor makes from drug companies. This particular doctor did very well. Patients need evidence-based medicine, not necessarily the newest drug. Overtreating can do more harm than good. Remember the oath. Dr. Montori emphasized that clinicians must consider patients' values, preferences, along with context in determining what to do. I went to ask my doctors, do you feel trapped by the Hippocratic Oath? I like to ask clinicians, do you lie awake at night? Are you trying to be a prophet to discover new paths to healing, or just make profits? I feel my body's in jail. Only they have the key. So many specialists, multiple keys. Please see me as a whole, not as an autoimmune case that might have had the stroke, but the cardiologists and primary don't want to weigh in on the discussion. Those doctors will defer to the neurologist who want to draw in a rheumatologist, but no one will talk to each other. With communication, maybe we can find the key to open the door to treatment for me, not patients like me. Dr. Montori acknowledges clinicians' dissatisfaction. He considers physicians as grassroots who will eventually change the system. Montori wants the industrial healthcare to answer to the patient. Flip the system. Serve the client. If patients have less stress, patients will need less care. He is not alone in this, thank goodness. There are a few other people and organizations advocating for the same thing, such as Dr. Haley Fisher Wright. We need to take the burden on ourselves. If people say, I will shift to doctors who spend time with me. Canadian Dr. Wendy Levinson, with her project Choosing Wisely, advocates less many times is better. Talk to your doctor about what you truly need. Montori urges, after you finish reading this book, use it as a catalyst for your next interaction with the U.S. healthcare system. He leaves you with 2 images in the book. I'll put them in the comments. One is Rodin's Cathedral, and the other is considered a Castile. It's a human construction of people. You know, almost, it's different than a pyramid. I'll put the photo in the comments. And it's all to say we support each other. Like Montori, I'm an optimist. I've now found a doctor who signs her emails with love. She gives hugs at the end of her visits. I hope to spread Montori's message to help advocate with friends and family to petition insurance companies for change. People need to understand they can choose a different carrier that will operate in a way you desire. Patients can plan how they'd like their life to be. Yes, with their little pets. He's kind of just flopping around here. Then talk to their doctors so they can do the best to get the life that works for them. I'm going to stop here. The next video will have outtakes from the book review, important info, but it didn't allow for this piece to flow as it did. As always, thank you for watching. Remember to share this with someone who needs it. And we'll both, come here, little man. See you next time. Bye from us.